Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
One of Lloydminster's newest pieces of infrastructure is getting some use. The wastewater treatment facility became fully operational in December of last year. Now the city is moving to the next stage, awarding a $2.9 million contract for desludging the city's lagoons.
About a new wastewater mechanical treatment plant, and certainly that's been an exciting point. But behind that is the day-to-day operations that have been happening for some time at the lagoon system that serve the city. Basically, we want to reposition or repurpose those lagoons for stormwater management. For us to do that, they need to be desludged.
Removal of the sludge is needed to maximize the wet weather storage capacity of the lagoons, in turn preventing the overflow of raw sewage into the environment.
Awarded today, and certainly it's not cheap. And one of the challenges is, as we heard, some of that desludging goes back since 1990, so that's one of the challenges that managing that system. We're playing a little bit of catch up, and it wasn't cheap, but to use the ponds for what they're intended for, the sludge has to be removed, and that was what was awarded today.
City Council also committed an additional $644,000 for a hydrated lime system. With wedding and graduation season just around the corner, a local event came to town to help make the planning a little easier. The Gold Horse Casino was host to the Olive Shoes Bridal and Graduation Show. Vendors selling things from food to dresses and bridal party boot camps were able to interact with customers preparing for their big day. A show like this has not happened in Lloydminster for quite some time, and events coordinator Nicole Brinklow can see how it benefits the community.
It's great for them to be able to see and have that time before, as they're planning, to be able to see different vendors, as well as not have to make appointments to go and visit, like photography people.
These events also help get the bridal and graduation industry back up to speed after COVID. It forced many brides to make last-minute decisions, and many couples had backyard weddings. But with everything back open, brides can now have those big days they always dreamed of.
We had brides that had to make last-minute decisions when COVID hit, and they had backyard weddings and things like that. But I think that now that everything has opened up again, it's a good time to be able to start planning and going out to the events.
If you missed the show, all the vendors can still be reached through their respective websites. Catholic Social Services is putting on a mentorship program for newcomers to the border city. Our Callum Hawker sat down and asked how this can help new Canadians get into the job force.
I'm joined by Kimo Mansoray, the local immigration partnership coordinator at Catholic Social Services, talking about the upcoming event that they are putting on, that is the mentorship program. Kimo, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
It's going well. Can't complain with the weather we have these days.
Me neither, Kimo. So can you tell me a little bit about this upcoming mentorship program?
So we do have two events coming. So we have the mentorship program. This was a program that I initiated. I worked with the Alberta Mentorship Program, who contacted me to see if we can have a program in Lloydminster. Because some of the challenges that immigrants have, usually they come with skill experiences, but yet they are not easily integrated into our labor force because they don't have the Canadian experience. And sometimes it's difficult for them to transition because they need that Canadian experience before they can effectively work in those. So this program is aimed at getting them to be mentored by somebody within their field of study. Whether if they are engineer, you have somebody who is an engineer who can actually mentor them in that field. If it's a nurse, you have somebody who's a nurse who can mentor them in that field. Or if they want to change course, even if they want to change, you can have people who walked in the field who are born Canadians or who have been in Canada for quite some time, have got the Canadian experience, who can pass that Canadian experience to these newcomers so that they can easily settle and integrate into the society and then begin fully engaged. So the program is all about that, so that we bring them together. We have people, we have a partnership from Lakeland College, the Chamber of Commerce, the Learning Council, the Gateway for Newcomers, and the city, everybody coming together and sharing some of, and we have some wonderful mentors who are ready to meet some mentees to help guide them. And Glennis is the one heading that particular program for us, and I think it's wonderful. And also, the Gateway for Newcomers have what is called summergration. We started with wintegration, it's wintegration actually, not summergration because it's not summer now. So summergration is also Canada as a different country with a different environment and climate. Many of the immigrants coming, they are not used to some of these climate. Uh, in order to help them take away the isolation during winter time, or not knowing to get engaged or get involved into the community during winter time or winter activities or winter sport. So the Gateway for Newcomers and the local immigration partnership come together to create wintegration. It's winter and immigration coined together to make it wintegration. So in that program, we help people learn how to skate, kids and their family. We help with skiing. When I came to this country, it took me a long time for me to, it's actually when my kids were born that when they started skating, that I actually started learning how to skate myself. So this is a culture that when immigrants come, we want them to also learn about the Canadian culture. The Canadian culture is living and adapting and adjusting to winter activities. So that is why we get that. And interestingly, we have so many locals who are willing to assist these new immigrants learn some of these wonderful winter activities.
Yeah, perfect. And you're completely right, too, as a Canadian, having to adapt from season to season as well. Now, is this the first year you guys are putting on this program, Chemo?
The first year we have this mentorship program, and it is a pilot project. So we are hoping that after this pilot project, the benefit of it, we would be able to continue this program because I think it is beneficial. And now, in fact, the Chamber of Commerce is having a job fair in March. So some of these mentors or mentees will be, their resumes will be adjusted, they will be helped into this. So now it is a fitting transition to go to that job fair after they have met mentors and they've got people who help them to even adjust their resumes and to tailor that to a particular job that they have been practicing or intend to practice. So it is, and I think this is what I love about our community. We are all interconnected and we are all supporting one another. The Chamber of Commerce is having that, and they are part of this as well. So, yes, I think it is the first time, but we're hoping that this will continue because our goal is not only to attract newcomers to Lloydminster, but we want to retain them because we've seen in the past people come and they leave because there are not these activities or events or things that motivate them to stay. Having these programs and activities is uh, a goal to retain them in our community.
Chemo, this sounds like a great program. And for anyone wanting to sign up for the mentorship program, please visit their website at Catholic Social Services. Thanks again, Chemo.
Thank you for having me.
Callum Hawker joins me now with the weather in Callum. It's still staying nice and mild, but do we have a little bit of cooler weather on the way?
Not this week. It's looking like maybe going into next, but like you said, Leanne, it's been very nice, super warm today. and just an amazing long weekend we're coming off of. Again, today it kind of hovered around that 0 degree mark. Current temperatures in the border city, still very sunny, not much clouds we saw at all today. But yeah, an average of 1 degree right now with a little bit of wind chill sitting at -4 because of the winds coming at 20 kilometers, west winds coming at 20 kilometers. So great temperatures here in the border city for late February. Current temperatures on the Alberta side here. Cold Lake, pretty warm, still 3 degrees in Cold Lake. Bonnyville up at 4 degrees. Lac-La-Biche at 5. St. Paul at 1 degree. Vegreville and Vermilion at 3, Edmonton at 5, and then down in Wainwright and Provost is sitting at 2 degrees currently. Over on the Saskatchewan side, Pierceland is at +4, St. Walburg at 2 degrees, Meadow Lake is at 6, Green Lake and Isle of Cross are at 5, Maidstone's at 0, Macklin's at 2, and North Battleford is sitting at 0. Tonight's forecast in North Battleford, it will dip down a bit in terms of temperatures, a low of -7 with some clouds coming throughout the night. So not the temperature you're seeing throughout the day with the sun coming out. So -7 tonight in North Battleford. Tomorrow's forecast in North Battleford, very similar to today. A little bit more clouds as they've been seeing in North Battleford, but a high of 0. So staying at that 0 mark should be throughout the day. Then tonight's forecast in Cold Lake, pretty similar, low of -8 with some clouds coming in, winds only at 13 kilometers an hour. So as you can see, that sun has really been keeping these places warm. And then tomorrow's forecast in Cold Lake, it'll go back to 3 degrees being the high, and look at that, brilliant sunshine. So again, another sunny day in Cold Lake tomorrow. And then tonight's forecast in Lloydminster, not as cold as the other places, low of -5 with some clouds coming in, but that wind staying at 20 kilometers an hour coming in from the west side. And then tomorrow's forecast throughout the day, 6 a.m. around your wake-up time, -4 with some clouds coming in. And then at noon, not as sunny as today, as it will be mostly cloudy, but staying at that 0 degree mark. 6 p.m. Mostly cloudy at -1, and then midnight a little colder, but the clouds will kind of disappear at -3. And then as we look into the 3-day forecast here in the border city, Thursday, tomorrow mostly cloudy, high of 2, low of -6. Friday coming in mostly sunny, breezy and mild, a high of 6, low of -4. And then on Saturday, look at that, nice and sunny, high of 1 and a low of -9. That is all for your first look at our weather report. We'll have some more news headlines with Leanne after the break.
The Lakeland College Apex Automation Wrestlers women's hockey team is finishing up their regular season this weekend with a 2-game series against the Nate Ooks. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
The Wrestlers were out bright and early for practice, even on reading week, as they prepare for their final 2 games of the season against the Nate Ooks.
We've been really working on our defense and just knowing where to be, because Nate's really good, they're really strong, and they're really good on their offense, so we're just trying to shut them down best we can.
The Wrestlers sit at the top of the standings in the ACAC and only need to grab 1 point in their final 2 games to clinch the top seed in the playoffs and home ice advantage throughout the championships.
Our home ice is certainly a big advantage for us. Our rink is a unique rink that we like to play in. We have a loyal fan base here that energizes our team, so home ice advantage is a big plus.
The Wrestlers, despite still being a very young team, lead the league in scoring with an impressive 109 goals and are much improved on the defensive side as well, which will serve them well in their second trip to the ACAC playoffs in program history.
It's very exciting. Just being a new team, we're kind of considered the underdogs, and we've come so far this season, and even from last season, we're just that much stronger.
The Wrestlers' final home game of the season will be this Saturday against the Nate Ooks. Thomas Wildman, Primetime, local news.
It's time now to take a look at all of the cute pet pictures you've been sharing with us for our Pets of the Day.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to have them featured on Pet of the Day.
Joining with us today with Michael Davison, the chairperson of Men's Shelter, and talking about the upcoming event coming on Saturday called the Coldest Night of the Year. So can you tell us more about that?
For sure, Coldest Night of the Year, it's our annual, it's our biggest fundraiser. It's actually part of a larger fundraiser across Canada that's meant to support shelter initiatives, whatever form they take in the community. This will be the 8th one that I've participated in, and well over, I want to say it's 10 to 15 for the organization as a whole right now. It's this Saturday. It's at Bud Miller at 4 o'clock. We'll be down in the skate house. We'll have some food. We'll have a little bit of conversation. And all it is we go out in the cold, we go for a walk, and we reflect on the realities of the people who use our services as a shelter or who are experiencing some extreme forms of poverty or housing insecurity, to just go and reflect on the realities of what that kind of life looks like being outdoors in a Canadian winter.
Now, it's a very interesting name. Why is it called Coldest Night of the Year?
Well, once upon a time, and it depends on the year, it can be a very cold day. We've had some Coldest Night of the Year events that actually get below into that minus 30 range, and it's very chilly for the walkers. It's very difficult, and people will go out and they'll really experience, even for the map that we have routed, really extreme winds because we're in Lloydminster, extreme colds, and it really drives home the point of how hard it would be to live on the streets or to be even afraid of living on the streets. So it's just a nice way of expressing and connecting with the reality of what's going on in our local community.
How long has this been happening since this is like an annual charity or event?
As far as I know I've done at least 8. I think there's been about 10 to 12, if I reflect back, in Lloydminster. Coldest Night of the Year walks have been happening for longer than that, though. It's part of a national campaign, so it's not just Lloydminster. It's actually all shelters and all services across Canada. But you know what? I don't actually know the specific answer to that one. But it's been a long time.
And I know this is a fundraiser.
Yes.
And Lloydminster is well known for like community work. And I was wondering, what is the importance of this fundraising event for Lloydminster?
Well, this is our biggest fundraiser of the year, and I think we can certainly see, if we've been paying attention to what's going on in Lloydminster, we're not immune from the kind of hardships and difficulties in Lloydminster as some of the things we hear about in big centres. So across the board, we're seeing an increased demand for our services. So the significance of this fundraiser is it gives us the ability to drive home new strategies and to change some of our outcomes for our clients. The biggest one that we've targeted for this year and for the next coming years is this is going to be the seed money for a capital campaign. We're actually looking to grow into a larger facility, and we think this will be a good kickoff to allocate that money for that. Very recently, the city of Lloydminster did a homeless count, and they identified 193 people at least who are experiencing some form of housing insecurity. And at our best, we're able to facilitate 30 of those people. And in that case, it's only men over the age of 18. So we have huge gaps in our ability to serve the reality of Lloydminster. So we really want to set this some money aside to grow our services and find the right way, the right location to really handle the changing needs of Lloydminster.
Are you expecting a different, like we call this, like signing up? Are you signing up for this one, or people can just go in?
Oh yeah, so we do have a sign up. So like any sort of fundraising item, there's like teams who are fundraising and challenging one another and reaching out, and that's great. And we have some teams that have been doing this for as long as I can remember, who are very competitive about it. The last I saw, we had 50 people who have signed up to fundraise and walk, but you don't have to do that. You can just show up at the skate house. It's not a private event, and you can show your support, or you can just partake in some of the food and ask a few questions, or you can just show up and walk. There's lots of things you can do. You don't have to donate. There's no obligation there. We just like to be able to tell a story and tell the truth about some of the realities that we're facing as a community and as individuals in that community.
Are you expecting to have more people from last year?
I think so. Last year we had sort of I think we had maybe 20 to 25. So I'm hoping we actually have 50 people show up. It's always great. I don't like, my least favorite event is one where I have to give a speech, right? So I keep it down to like 3 sentences, you know, thank you for coming, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I do hope a lot of people show up and are there to show support for the shelter and the work that we do.
Now, lastly, I just want to know, how do people can help to or contribute for this coldest night of the year this coming Saturday?
There is a website. It's coldest night of the year. I think it's .com. So CNOY.com. CNOY. They abbreviate like that. Or you can just Google or search bar coldest night of the year Canada. And there is a third-party organization that handles that for us. You just choose Lloydminster and you can donate. You can also donate at the event and just say this is for the coldest night of the year event. And we tabulate that and send it in. So those are the easiest ways. And if you want to donate to us directly, you're more than welcome to. You can just come down to the shelter and make a donation in person, or you can visit our website, and we have a donation link there as well.
Any final word, any final say for the people watching for this?
Come and show up. I love talking about the shelter. I love getting into the details about what we're doing and where we're going. Too much, I could talk about it for longer than the amount of time we have. So please show up. You know, I'm happy to talk about it. Happy to hear any suggestions that the people of the community might have.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the information and insights about this coldest night of the year, and I hope that many people are going to show up compared from last year.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's always like you never know. It's Lloydminster, right? Like it's either huge or it's tiny, but you just got to ride the wave.
Well, thank you so much for giving me the information, and and hope for the best for the Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you
so
much.
much.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us again this week. Stephanie is a lawyer, mediator, and online educator with Henke Divorce Law and Mediation offices in Lloydminster and Edmonton. Stephanie, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks again, as always, Stacey.
Well, we are going to be talking about some of the workbooks that you have that couples can access when they're going through divorce and separation and through the mediation process. So I want to talk about, let's just, I guess, generally start about the workbooks themselves. So tell me just a little bit about them and I guess the purpose of them.
Yeah, so when clients first retain our services, most of the time we start out by giving them one of our workbooks. So we do have 3 different workbooks available to clients, and they're for each are for different situations. So the first one that we have is called Our Family in 2 Homes. And this is for parents who are separating or divorcing while they're still raising their children. So what you can see is this is actually a workbook that's a old pen and paper. As much as I focus on technology, I find that the workbooks help to have the actual pen and paper, and people bring them to their mediation or their sessions, their meetings with me. The second one that we have is called Our Family in a Few Homes. And this workbook is designed for separating or divorcing couples who have adult children, or even those who may not have children at all together. And then the third one is called Designing Our Future Together. So this is for workbook is for couples who are planning the next chapter of their life. So either planning to live together, planning to get married, having children, grow old together, or even when they're going through marital mediation. So this is the workbook that we use when people are staying together as a couple.
Okay, and let's talk about what's inside these workbooks.
Yeah, so I break this down into 3 different categories. So first, the purpose of the workbook is about building a strong foundation for the future, either together or separate. So either the Designing Your Future Together or the Our Family in 2 Homes or a Few Homes. Working on things like trust, communication, reflecting on your conflict styles, and even your values. So this is to help the parties reflect on themselves and to reflect on the other party to help them move forward in each other's lives in whatever capacity that may be. But the crux of the matter is we want it to be in a healthy way. The second, there's a number of questions posed in this workbook that will prepare you for the discussions with me. So either as your mediator or your lawyer. So the questions in these workbooks give you time to process issues ahead of our meetings. The more work that you put into the workbook ahead of time, the more time and cost savings that you will have in your professional services. And the third reason for the workbook is giving you what I call the Law 101. So there's the legal framework for each of the topics that will be covered in our negotiations. So things, our viewers are going to be familiar with parenting plans, the support provisions, and then division of your assets and debts.
So how do these workbooks help families?
So these workbooks are designed to help families to dig deeper, to do that transformational work that's so necessary to become a healthy, thriving family, either after separation or after moving in together. And what we hope with after moving in together is it creates such a strong foundation that we never see you on the divorce or the separation side. It does create an environment for couples or former couples to transition with a strong foundation into the future. So often when I meet with families for the first time, it's about protecting oneself, getting your guard up, escalating the conflict. What we do is starting with the workbook, we try to help people start on the right foot by consciously making the best decisions possible about the future, but doing it together. Now, I just want to point out that these workbooks are not a do-it-yourself guide. There's people that have called us and said, hey, can I just get one of your workbooks? They're actually provided as part of our initial package and include live hours with me. So the concept is that parties will do the foundational work themselves. They'll start to scribble in the workbook, start to think through some of the topics, do some of the learning and the thinking ahead of time, and then they'll get help with the areas that they need help on. So if they've already got agreements, they don't need my help on those things. They just tell me, they recount to me what they've got in their workbooks. There's some things though that remain in more conflict.
And what does it mean, Stephanie, to be a practitioner who basically has these extra resources available for your clients?
Well, I hope our audience has realized by now that at the end of the day, I have a passion for helping families in a healthy way to transition either to separation or to designing their future together as a couple. And I find that because I have an exclusively out of court practice, this helps families to stay in the driver's seat throughout their journey, and it helps them to budget more and better as they're going through their separation or divorce. So there's finding resolution. And then there's finding resolution built on a strong foundation. And I really want to be part of that leveling up with the families that I work with.
And if people are looking for more information on the workbooks, what is the best way to get that, Stephanie?
Well, first, go to our website. If you look under the resources section, there's a whole page on the website there. Or you can call our office and book your 5-minute free call with me to discuss whether the workbooks might be a good option. 780-875-2234.
Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back to chat with you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey.
Well, Beyonce has made history with her new country song. She is the first Black woman to top the Billboard Country Songs chart with her new single, Texas Hold'em. She's also the first woman to top both that chart and the Hot R&B chart since those lists began in the 1950s. Both songs were released during the Super Bowl. Her new album drops in March, and that's all the news that we have for you tonight, Thomas.
Yeah, it was, pretty crazy for for Beyonce kind of going into a different realm of music. She's kind of been always this huge pop star, kind of doing opposite of what Taylor Swift is doing, right? Starting in country, going to pop. She's started in pop, going to country, so.
I think anything that really kind of gets them attention and into the news. All right, thanks for joining us this evening. Have a good night.